Welcome to the Medical Device Made Easy podcast. Here is Monir El Azzouzi from easymedicaldevice.com, and today on this episode of the podcast we'll make a review of March 2020. So March was really a month with a lot of information, a lot of outcome, and we are continuing also to talk about this pandemic and the consequence to the medical device industry. And we'll also talk about the EU MDR, what is happening with that, the different guidance that are out, the different regulatory updates that are ongoing, and also we'll go back again about the podcast, what happened this month, regarding also the LinkedIn Live, what happened this month, and what you have missed maybe, and what you can review again after that. Okay, so let's start with this pandemic. So what happened in March is the fact that many of the countries had a lockdown due to a pandemic, which means that there is a lot of things that are blocked, stopped. There is a lot of jobs that are or done at home or not done anymore because we have to wait that this pandemic is over. And during that time, there is also one job or one industry that has also to stop what they were doing. It's the notified bodies. So they are stopping to do the on-site assessment during this pandemic, but they are still doing the off-site assessment. So they are maybe reviewing documentation while they are at their homes or home office. We are trying to see how this will be managed, because they still have to do an on-site review. So will it be done later? Can you have a C certificate without this on-site review? This is something that the EU Commission or notified body has to check and negotiate. But for now, the auditors are same as us, so they can be infected. So they are stopping what they are doing in terms of on-site assessment. It is already a struggle because, as you may know, so we are short in notified bodies for the EU MDR. But we also saw that a lot of notified bodies were more focused now on EU MDD, so to finalize the EU MDD before to start EU MDR certification. So it's something also that is, I understand, really a struggle for a lot of companies. I'm hearing a lot of companies that are saying that they are calling notified bodies, but nobody answers, or they are put on a waiting list. So it's something that is happening. So please, before to start any project, first try to contact your notified body or a notified body if you don't have one, to find one that is available and that can maybe give you a date in 1 year, because really with the bottleneck that we have now, I think you can expect a date only within the next year. Okay, so one thing also that happens during this pandemic is the fact that we need a lot of supplies, so medical supplies, like face masks, like respirators, like COVID-19 tests, IVD tests. What you are seeing more and more, and it's really a problem, is fake certificates. We have seen that on LinkedIn, so you can see one here that will appear. What is funny with fake certificates is that you can spot immediately that it's a fake certificate, because, for example, for this one that you are seeing, it's a certificate issued for a class 1 device that is non-sterile. If you know the regulation, you know that for class 1 device non-sterile, it's self-certification, so there is no need of this kind of certificate. You have to have a EU declaration of conformity. But it's something that you can spot easily. And if you see also that they are hiding the name of the company, so it's also a fake certificate, they can say, oh, it's for confidentiality. There is no confidentiality in this kind of thing. You have to show that this certificate is for your company, etc., etc. So be really careful on that, because there was also a lot of situation in different countries where, for example, for COVID-19 tests, they were not accurate, so they were showing false negative, so it means that you were infected, but at the end the test is showing that you are not, which is really a drama, if I can say, for countries that are buying those equipments or those supplies. So be really careful. We know that when you have nothing, it's better than nothing, but you have still to have something that is working and efficient. If you are buying face masks, but at the end they are not filtering enough and that they are letting pass the virus, so there is no need to pay for this kind of thing. So yeah, be really careful on that. What is also interesting is all the countries, the EU Commission, all the MHRA also is issuing a lot of recommendations during this period to flex, to be more flexible related to the supplies of those devices, of those products. The MHRA really issued a lot of guidance. It's really huge guidance on rapidly manufactured respirator, guidance on flexibility for the countries, on the priorities. So they are making a priority for all those supplies for COVID-19. They are asking the authorities to stop all the other assessment for other products and really make a priority on that. So during this period, really, the priorities on this product. So you have maybe to be patient, and I hope you understand that notified bodies or authorities cannot maybe take into account your products while they are really focused on this pandemic. What is also interesting is the availability of free standards during this period. So standards for face mask, I saw standards for gloves, for gowns, for how to test that a product is not infected, and this and that. So you have the availability to find those standards within your country. So the CEN and Senelec website is showing all the standards. I will put that in the show notes, and you can go and check which organization, which distributor you have in your country. So for me, I used SNV for Switzerland, and I can go and buy for €0 or €0 Swiss franc those standards. And then I can have them available in different languages also. So if you are in France, it's AFNOR. If you are in UK, maybe BSI, etc., etc. So there is a full list in this website. And as I've said, it's on the show notes, so you can go and check those standards. So those standards are really interesting because they are showing which test you can do to classify your face mask. For example, FFP1, what it means, FFP2, what it means, FFP3, what it means, etc., etc. So it's really an interesting read, even if you are not making mask. Maybe it's interesting read for you to understand how it's done, how it's tested, so that also if you are working with those kind of masks, or if you are a consultant and working for those kind of companies, you know already what things they have to do. And if you are new on this business, you have also to find a way to make those tests so that you are really compliant with the regulation. Okay, last point, I put it at the end for this topic of the pandemic, is about the date of application. We heard last week, I think it was on Wednesday, that the date of application will be postponed of 1 year for the MDR. And I'm hearing a lot of people saying, oh, it's done, so now we have to wait 1 year. And I just want you to listen again to what was said, because it's just a proposal. So listen.
Will the Commission propose a delay to the medical device regulation deadline this week?
Well, the Commission is working on a proposal to postpone the entry into force of the new medical devices regulation for 1 year. We're working hard to submit this proposal early April, and we call on Parliament and on Council to adopt it quickly, as the deadline for entry into force is at the end of May. This will relieve pressure from national authorities and industry, and it will allow them to focus fully on urgent priorities related to the coronavirus crisis.
And you can see that it said it's just a proposal that will be sent early April. So we are early April, and this Friday, because I'm recording that on Friday, this Friday they have published this proposal. So we have to read it now. There is 8 pages where they are mentioning specifically that because of this pandemic, there will be a need to delay the date of application for the MDR until the 26th of May 2021. But it still needs the approval from the Parliament and the Council. And this approval will normally be maybe provided end of May. So end of May is close to the date of application. So I suppose there will be a lot of pressure there. If there is any change to the document, change to the proposal, change to the discussion. So don't make it like it's a done deal. It's not. You can still read the blog of Eric Volbrecht, which is also talking about that and what are the scenarios and possibilities. I suppose he will create another blog post to explain what is written specifically on this proposal and what are the consequences of it. But you still have to continue with your projects. Don't stop your project now. You still have 1 month, if I can say, or 2 months, because if it's end of May, to see if this proposal is accepted as is or if there is some conditions, etc., etc. So don't neglect that and don't stop your projects. Okay, so thank you for that. Okay, next topic is about notified bodies. So this month of March we had one additional notified body, so CE Certizo Orvos from Hungary. So this is we have now 12 notified bodies for MDR 2017-745 and 3 notified bodies for IVDR 2017-746. As you know, it's not too much. So it's also something that will be a problem. So we still have to make efforts to have enough notified bodies. But here, yeah, it's not enough at all. Because as I've said, I'm hearing a lot of my clients that are saying that they are calling notified bodies and nobody answers. So each time there is a notified body that is announced, I suppose their standard is blowing up with a lot of calls because everybody is looking for a notified body to be ready for the MDR. Yeah, so for notified bodies, there is also the publication of the state of the art. So I will put that also in the show notes so that you can see the slides. So it's showing mainly how many notified bodies are on the different processes. So if I remember, there is 44 applications, but yeah, actually there is only 12 for MDR and 3 for IVDR. Next is about the updates. So in terms of guidances. So what we have is that the MDCG group issued some guidances during this month of March, and we had the first guidance about clinical evaluation and performance evaluation for medical device software. So it's an interesting guidance because it's showing specifically what kind of clinical evidence you can provide for your software, what are the methodology, what are the elements that you have to look at. So it's really an interesting guidance if you are in the business of software for medical devices or for in vitro diagnostic, because it's providing you some guidance. I'm not saying it's a magic document, but if you are already not understanding what you have to provide, it can give you some guidance on what is really what are the notified bodies or what are the authorities really looking for. The next one is about the guidance on Class 1 transitional provision under Article 120-3 and 4. So mainly, you know that with the corrigendum, the second corrigendum, we have now more time for Class 1 products under MDD that are up-classified under MDR. So for example, Class 1 Air, reusable, or Class 1 or software that are coming from Class 1 and becoming Class 2A, 2B, or 3, etc., etc. So this is just a guidance that is showing you, explaining you how this is working. The fact also that if there is any significant change, then you have to become MDR compliant, etc., etc. So don't hesitate to read that if you are still struggling about this transition for these products. Then we have the famous guidance for significant change. So I had a podcast with Eric Volbrecht last week about that. We recorded the podcast before the publication of this guidance, but at the end, yeah, what we said was make sense related to the guidance. And I also put on the show notes of this podcast all the different guidances that are existing also from medtech group, from GMed, from all the group that we talked about during the episode. But yeah, so be careful, as I've said, during the transition period, not only for a class 1 device, but for every device. As soon as you are using this transition period because you have a MDD certificate, and you are saying, okay, I will place my products on the market until my certificate is expired, then you have to understand that if you are performing any significant change to your device, this can impact your certification. So be ready for that, understand that, understand also what your notified bodies consider a significant change, because maybe there are some differences between one to the other, and also take the guidance. There are some flowchart and check if your change is included in this flowchart. Before to do this change, think about it. So don't make a change like that. And as I've said also on the podcast episode with Eric, train your team about what is a change, so that they are not performing a change without you knowing about that. So because it can be really dramatic for your company. Okay, so for significant change, I think it's all. But if you have still some questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I will try to answer them as soon as possible. The last point, there are a lot of changes in the regulatory updates part, but the last part is about the update of the harmonized standards. But it's not for MDR or IVDR, it is for still the MDD, IMDD, and IVDD. So it means that there are updates about the standard, the harmonized standards. As I remind you, so an harmonized standard is just a standard that if you are in conformity with the standard, we suppose that you are conforming with the requirements of the MDD in that case. For MDR, as there is no harmonized standards, you can still use the ones that are not harmonized for now. I suppose ISO 14971 for risk management will be harmonized. It's not now, but you can still use that. It's not like you cannot use that anymore. It's just that if you are using a non-harmonized standard, they should not suppose that you are in conformity with a requirement. They have to check and to dig and to review that. So you can also listen to the episode that we have made with Marcelo Antunes regarding ISO 14971, because he mentioned that correctly inside. He explains that a standard is not mandatory. It's highly recommended, but it's not mandatory. And if you are using something else, you just have to prove that this is in compliance with the requirements, nothing else. So please review this episode with Marcelo Antunes, ISO 14971. We made that as a LinkedIn Live, but you can see that on my YouTube channel. Okay, so here are the regulatory updates for this month. As I've said, there are a lot of documents that are released related to this pandemic, what you can do or not do, a lot of documents to explain to you how to create a ventilator, how to create a mask, so there is a lot of things that are now available. We know that we are in the regulatory or the compliance part, but during a pandemic, it's like a war, so we have to be flexible. So you may have to understand that, but you still try to provide safe products, because if at the end you are just providing products to provide products to just make business, it's not really compliant in my way of thinking. Also in terms of behavior, let's not use a pandemic to make business or to take some opportunities, and let's try to think about all the lives that we can save if we make compliant products. Okay, this month we had a few episodes on the podcast. We had the first one about cybersecurity with Eric Volbrecht. So it was talking also about the MDCG guidance that was issued. As we said, the MDCG guidance for cybersecurity was really interesting. There are a lot of graphs, a lot of things inside. So go also to check that if you are providing a software or an equipment that is connected to a network. So it's really, I think, an interesting document for you. Then we talked with LM Hein about Class 1S, Class 1M, Class 1R, what it is, what the auditors are looking for, and I think it's also something that you have to get. So LM has created a document, a presentation, so if you want to go and to check that, it's summarizing all the information about what we discussed during the podcast. And the last one is about significant change, as I've said, with Eric Volbrecht. And I'm trying to do once per week also a LinkedIn Live. So if you want to join the LinkedIn Live, try to connect with me. I know that some people said to me that they are connected with me, but they don't see the live. As I've said, the LinkedIn Live is actually in beta version, so it's not provided to everyone. So I think they will improve that and provide maybe a link in future where I can just send that to the people and say, here is the link for you to connect. But for now, there is nothing. They are just sending a notification on your mobile or on your computer when I'm going live. But this month we had some interesting topic where we had how to classify a medical device. It was an interesting topic because we made some I used that as a quiz episode where I showed some examples and I asked the audience to classify the products, and there were some great answers. There were some great information also about the fact that you have really to understand all the features of your products to understand how to classify it. If you just know half of it, it's not possible to really classify a device. So yeah, classification of a device is really a tough exercise also. Then we had the frequently asked question on economic operators with Eric Volbrecht. So it was also a great episode because we had made those medical device school episodes, the bonus episode, where we talked about economic operators, but I wanted to give the opportunity to the manufacturers to ask real questions about what they are doing, what they are experimenting actually regarding economic operators. And I think it was really a great one. So if you want to go and to check, there were really great answers. Then we had the famous coronavirus impact to medical device LinkedIn Live, where I had the chance to have Eric Volbrecht, Basil Akra from TÜV Sud, so Notified Body, and Gert Boss from QServe to help answer the questions about the impact of this virus to the medical device industry. And it was really a great episode. And this is the episode where we recorded in the morning. Last week, so the week before, on Wednesday in the morning, and in the afternoon they announced the proposal for a date of application postponed of 1 year. But in the morning, my audience says it's unlikely that it will happen because there is a lot of administrative work to do that. But if at the end the Parliament, the Council and the Commission agree all together and they are really seeing the urgency, then it can happen. But in a normal process, it takes really a long time to have those changes. So we are expecting that, but we are not sure that it will happen. So let's think about that. Okay, so I think we closed all the elements related to what happened this month. Last point is about my shop. So I released this month also the PRRC agreement. So if you are a small or mid-sized company and you are trying to hire a PRRC, so I created an agreement where I included all the requirements, all the responsibility of a PRRC and a manufacturer, so that you can also hire your PRRC as a consultant if you want. You cannot do that if you are a big company. You have to fall on the definition of a small and mid-sized company to be able to hire a consultant for that. So check that on the shop, and I have also still the other templates that are existing. If you are working on your technical documentation, if you are passing the MDSAP certification, etc., etc. And I'm also providing some coaching if you are interested. I'm helping people that are under projects within their companies or that want to find a job. So I'm looking with them what are their skills, what they need to improve, and also looking with them every job description and then testing their knowledge in terms of the position that they are looking for. So if you are interested, contact me also. Okay, don't forget, so all the topics that we discussed today, I have them on the show notes. So go there, I put all the links, all the things, so that you can really see what we are talking about and you can see the references of those information. And yeah, so don't hesitate also to contact me if you have any project for quality and regulatory affairs for medical devices. I'm really happy, I would be really happy to help you to pass that. Okay, so it was really a pleasure for me to give you all those information, and I hope that this will really help you to be compliant with your medical device. Okay, so thank you very much, and I wish you a nice day.